I think we need federal funding of stem cell research, embryonic stem cell research. We need to lift these ideological limitations that exist today on stem cell research. There's such extraordinary potential out there, and that work's going to get done somewhere. I mean, a lot of these scientists are in the United States right now, but if we continue to limit it, they're going to go somewhere else and do it. And America should be doing this research. And the potential is absolutely extraordinary. Over the last few years, I've gotten to know Michael J. Fox, the actor, and who's a wonderful, wonderful advocate on this issue. Very strong, very outspoken, and he's much more eloquent about this than I am. But I am a true believer. I think we absolutely have got to do this stem cell research, and it can have a huge impact on the lives of millions of people.
Preston, my question deals with the VA. My husband is in wonderful care. He does have to drive 100 miles to get there. He had a very bad experience after being out with the VA. It's where you walk in the door. There has been a total turmoil. But what is your plan for the VA's facility? Maybe getting closer accessibility or access to other hospitals?
Sure. The question is about the VA, what to do to the VA system, better accessibility, etc. The most important thing for us to do about the Veterans Administration is what happens today is each year they're budgeted based on what's happening in some particular Congress. In other words, the budget goes up, the budget goes down. The result of that is they can't plan over the long term. They can't build, for example, facilities that are closer to people because they don't know if the funding is going to be there down the road. So what we need is a guaranteed stream of funding for the Veterans Administration, which I'm for. If I can go one step further, I think we have a sacred responsibility to men and women who've worn the uniform of the United States of America. And I watch these men and women coming back from Iraq, having been patriotic, having served their country, having put their lives on the line. And in many cases, it feels to me like they're just left on their own. You know, whatever they need, they can figure it out on their own. That's not right. I mean, I think we ought to actually, for every man and woman coming home from Iraq, they deserve an individual evaluation for their mental health needs. About 1 out of 3 have some sort of serious emotional issue. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a big question. Brain injuries have been unfortunately, one of the worst things that have happened out of Iraq. They need the mental health taken care of, their physical health taken care of. If they need job training, we ought to provide the job training. If they need more education, we ought to provide the education. And I can go one step further. I think America should help them find a job. If they want to go back to civilian life, they served us. The least we can do is help them find a job. So those are the things that I would do, both for the people coming back from Iraq and the Veterans Administration. Yes, this gentleman right back here.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your wife standing up to Ann Coulter on the television, and that was a very entertaining thing. But second, the other thing that I was listening to on CNN today, the Mexican president is going to fight for citizens' rights of Mexicans in the United States. What are you going to do to fight for the citizens of the United States' rights for immigration?
I can tell you exactly what I would do about immigration. Some of it you may like, some of it you may not, but I tell you what I believe. First, I think our southern border is a complete disaster, and we cannot sustain what's happening there. You know, speaking of Elizabeth, my wife Elizabeth, her description of this is, you know, you walk into a Blockbuster, and even though you don't see anybody, somebody always says, "Welcome to Blockbuster." They know you came in. You know, if Blockbuster can figure out how to know if somebody's coming in the door, it seems like America should be able to figure out if somebody's coming across our border. And I think more border patrol, better use of technology, I think will go a long way. I'm not in favor of building a fence all the way across the southern border, but I think there are some places where some fencing may do some good, and I'm totally open to that. For example, they put some fencing south of San Diego, and it actually helped. It makes a difference. Second thing is, I think we need to be much tougher on employers who are violating the law.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Warning, here comes the part you may not like, but this is what I think. I'm not for amnesty. But I do believe there should be a path to earn citizenship. I think I'd have a couple of requirements to earn American citizenship. One is, if you came here illegally, you ought to have to pay a fine, because we believe in the law. You can't pretend it never happened. And the second, and sometimes more controversial, is I think if you want to become an American citizen, you should learn to speak English. So those are things I would do about immigration. Yes, sir, right here.
My question is back to Iraq. After the short term, we all want the troops out as soon as possible. But the long-term solution, what do you believe the pros and cons of a settlement similar to Bosnia, where you would divide Iraq between Sunni, Shia, and Kurds into a political kind of a triumvirate?
Again, can you all hear the question? Okay, the question was basically, we want our troops out of Iraq. He agrees with that. But whether I believe Iraq should go the way of Bosnia, whether there should be a division based on Sunni, Kurd, Shia, the answer is it makes a lot of sense to me for there to be, at a minimum, some loose semi-autonomous states. Kurds in the north, Sunni in the Sunni Triangle, Shia in the south. The problem is that America can't impose that on them. I mean, they have to decide that that's what they want to do. I mean, we can suggest anything, and I think actually that structure, particularly if they share oil revenue, if they have a way to provide for national security, I think does make some sense. But ultimately, they're going to have to decide to do it. But in terms of conceptually, I think it makes some sense. I think it does make some sense. Yes.
I'm Jim Kimball. I'm a retired physician. I'm for some type of unified health insurance, but how are we going to control how we pay our physicians and our nurses and our hospitals?
The way we do it, well, I can tell you the way we do it in my proposal. As you well know, I don't know how, you said you retired. How long has it been since you were practicing? 5 years. Well, I'm sure you saw this in the later days of your practice. Our healthcare providers now spend an enormous percentage of their time dealing with insurance companies and dealing with the government, trying to get reimbursed for the services they provide. It's a huge headache. What we need is a system which manages all that, so the healthcare providers can provide healthcare, so that they actually get reimbursed for the services they provide. And there's a system, an intermediary, for lack of a better term, who operates on their behalf between them and insurance companies and them and the government. So it's basically, we set up a system to ensure that they get adequately paid and adequately reimbursed. That's one of the reasons this system is not free. There's a significant amount of money that goes into insuring. I mean, you know, a lot of healthcare providers won't take Medicaid and Medicare patients because the reimbursement rate is so low. We can't have that. And we also don't want our healthcare providers to dry up in poor inner city areas and small rural areas. We need an incentive for them to be willing to go there and take care of seniors and take care of those who are low-income families. And so one of the ways to do that is infuse some capital into this system and to create a buffer that protects them from having to deal with the problems associated with insurance companies and drug companies. I mean, insurance companies and the government. That's basically the way the system's set up. You look like you got something else on your mind.
Are you going to develop the system into just an extension of the VA program then?
No, it's still. I'll tell you, I don't eliminate the VA program, and I don't eliminate Medicare, and I even keep Medicaid in place and the public health system, because I still think we need a safety net. I mean, it's inevitable that people will fall off the registration rolls, etc., and they have to have a place to go get health care. No, it's basically a net. It's an intertwined system that I think will work for everybody, the way it's structured. He had one more thing you wanted to say. I'm going to let you say it.
I'm going to push you a little more.
You can push as much as you want.
Iowa is ranked 8th as far as health care delivery.
Yes.
And the doctors are reimbursed at the 47th level. Do you think that's fair?
No, of course I don't. Of course I don't. No, Iowa has huge problems with Medicare reimbursement. It's been a huge problem here for many years. It's an unfairness in the system. It seems to apply. We have that problem some in North Carolina, but it's much more severe here in Iowa. And no, the answer is no, I don't think that's fair, and I think we ought to do something about it, and I will do everything in my